Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's episode of Infinite Horizon. uh,
Woo!
I was just making sure everybody knew that I feel very behind today. Like it feels like we should still be getting ready, and here we are. It's starting time. So, hello, first of all. Um, Hello, everyone who is here in chat. It is so good to see you. As a
Hey
note.
chat, hey chat, everyone say happy birthday. Everybody say happy birthday
Yeah,
to
happy
Lucas, our
birthday.
lovely storyteller and gem whom we all love very, very much and has to take our love because he can do nothing about it because we love him very much.
I
Happy
will
birthday, Lucas.
end this stream right now.
That's right, you do have the power. You do
I could.
actually.
I
You
could
could
also.
do
I can
something
also
about
just
this.
mute Caitlin because she did it to me once on her stream. So
You
You
can't
did.
silence us. Happy birthday.
Okay, but to be fair, I muted Lucas so I could give him compliments. This is very much not the same situation.
Yes, totally the same situation because I'd be muting you to avoid them. Um.
Your power for evil.
Yes. Today is birth. Um.
Birth.
Yes. Yes, story girl. I have made the big ol' loop de loop.
How does it feel now that you can drink?
Well, golly gee, mister, I sure don't think I've ever ordered a drink in a bar before. Uh,
Who's
Oh, wait, you
that
guys drink-
NPC?
you drink
Who is
after
that,
21,
Lucas?
right?
yeah, I know. It's
They're going to
I
be
wanna-
workshopping that
Yes.
NPC in their world builders. Because
I know. I want to know everything about them.
But yes, thank you everyone for the birthday wishes. They are much appreciated. I feel like I was literally about to. Oh, I was about to do something, and what I was about to do was normally we don't have anything to talk about at the beginning of the stream, but today I do because it occurred to me that only like the people who are on Discord saw this message. So I made an announcement on Discord of last week sometime, and I thought it was important to bring it up now, um, because I realized that only some of our audience is actually on the Discord, and it's relevant to everybody. So here we go. I'm just gonna read it from what I wrote. So it was, hello everyone. In the interest of transparency, I thought I'd share some news about Rule of Lore. I'm sure you've all felt these last few weeks that there's a bit of a disruption in our operation. This has affected everything from our Patreon content to our streaming schedule. Well, when it rains, it pours, as they say. Everything from trips to mental health to medical issues, mental health breaks to medical issues to just outright exhaustion have all happened to fall on us with their full weight these last couple of weeks. Because of our bad luck in this regard, we're not really operating at our full capacity for now. We aren't quite to the shutting everything down point yet. So we're not quite there yet, but right now we are going to try to operate as normally as possible while also making sure that we here at Rule of Lore are able to stay healthy physically, emotionally, and mentally. So what this means is that late content and last-minute schedule changes will be pretty common for a little while. It also means that a lot of our future plans have been put on hold for the time being as we focus on treading water. So those future plans include our plan to like regularly have charity streams or just fundraising streams in general. Those kinds of things, plans for that kind of stuff has sort of been put on hold for the time being, just because it's all we can do right now to keep like normal operations happening, let alone planning new stuff. So right now we're kind of just focusing on that. So basically, things are going to be a little bit disrupted for a while, and I think at this point, the only option that we have is to just sort of accept that that is going to be the case for a while. So, um, thanks for just being patient with all that stuff, and yeah, we really appreciate it. So, but yes, it occurred to me this morning that I was like, you know what? Only like a certain percentage of like the people that this is directly relevant to actually would have seen it. So this is my my way of bringing that to the forefront. So yeah. um Anybody else have anything that they want to say before we get started? Welcome back, Drac. It's good to have you again.
It's good to be back.
All right. Well then. Oh, sorry, Olivia. Were you gonna say something?
I was just going to say before we start one more time that Happy birthday, Lucas, and we love you, and you're the best, and you're such a good GM. And I got so excited to see all those NPCs today
my
that
God, yeah.
Caitlin posted, because I already kind of knew how they were, because you're amazing at showing us how they are. But it's always fun to see it. So, but yeah, happy birthday. You're
Thank
awesome.
you. And yeah, for those of you who haven't seen yet, you should check out the art that Caitlin did of the NPC Crew of Awakener, because they are wonderful and I love them.
Go view Patch and their singular anime eye.
Singular anime eye.
I've never seen something so kawaii.
I could. Oh my god! I should put little like the blush marks on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It must be done. All right.
I'll do that during the
some rose
intro.
petals.
All right. So here we go. Then I think we are ready to get started. So let's jump on in.
Some will say this is the end. We're surrounded, but we won't give in. No. Who will save us? Who will save us? Sometimes you gotta let go. Leave it up to the hero. Who will save us? Who will save us? When the truth's in the shadows. All hail to the heroes. They're gonna save us. Yeah, save us. Yeah, save us today.
And welcome back, everyone. When we sorry, I knew it was coming and it was still all right. Previously on wait, before we get in, I just remembered something. I checked today, and as it turns out, for the first time ever, Rule of Lore hit the 50 subscriber mark. So
Oh.
thank you everybody who has
Awesome.
Holy
subscribed,
shit.
who
Oh,
has
yeah.
gifted subs, who has subscribed through Twitch Prime. Thank you so much, everybody. This is a place that we have reached now, so that's a thing. So yeah, I checked today and just made made sure that we were actually there, so I could actually say it. So here we are.
Also, if you're in the Discord, there's now a patch with blushy marks.
Oh my gosh.
God, I need to see that. Hold on. Everyone pause. This is very important.
Oh gosh, Heart of Handprints. You're gonna kill me. Yes, it is. It is recap time.
It's also Lucas's birthday.
Yes, it is. I suppose it is that. Okay, well, let us attempt. Previously on Infinite Horizon, the sudden appearance within the midst of the Crew of Awakener of a mysterious individual who claims to be from the future, specifically about 25 years in the future. Threw everything into chaos as their new friend Teon, a Chemoth from the future, a powered individual with the ability to manipulate and travel through time, showed up and began attempting to explain how time works through the use of several complex drawings and inadequate analogies. That gave rise to one of the good moments from last time, which was time sandwich. That was one of the drawings, I believe, and
But there was time pie in there as well, I think.
that's right. There was a time pie as well.
Yeah.
So this all led into some pretty complex conversations, but in those conversations about time and the nature of the universe and how everything works, I'm gonna do my best to get through this. This is I'm gonna be not distracted out of spite now. Um, uh, this led to a lot of conversations happening that revealed some pretty important information. The most important of which was that that a powered individual working for the corpse from the future has not only traveled in time back in time as well, but has also has done so, has been here for quite some time, and traveled back to prevent the Crew of Awakener from doing exactly what they plan to do, which is to say rescue the powered individuals on board a ship in transit, much like they were, and to essentially prevent a galaxy-wide movement of anti-corp sentiment that ultimately, some years in the future, leads to the corpse being pushed back to the fringes. Taeon, in turn, has come back to stop that person from stopping that, and thus puts him squarely in the allied position with the Crew of Awakener. Let's see. There was also another important revelation that came on a little later, which was that Alma, it was in fact the first of the powered individuals, thus explaining why Silverbreak and the corpse are so interested in recapturing her as well as Awakener itself. The revelation was certainly startling to Alma, who, after a short period of time of sort of thinking this over, talked in a conversation with Mason, asked Mason to promise her that if it came down to a choice between helping people and serving the overall goal of defeating the corpse and saving her from the corpse, that Mason would ensure that she was not the choice that was made. Unbeknownst to everyone else, of course, that this conversation took place. There was also a fun discovery, powers-wise, that both Bina and Peach are now able to read the thoughts of others.
You're welcome.
Our fun, very different reactions
Thus
to that.
stressing out Bina just a little bit more and making Peach that much more powerful and dangerous.
You put it that way.
At the very end of the episode, with help from Taeon and a new answering basically a series of questions from Wire, as well as a search algorithm that Wire put together, Wire was able to finally uncover the location of the ship that they were all looking for, aboard which a whole new group of powered individuals are to be transferred. And that is where we ended. But I also want to make mention of the fact that Alma, during the downtime, while they were waiting for the algorithm to do its thing, discovered some rather disturbing facts about disappearances of people all over the galaxy. Some of which Mason had already keyed into in his investigation to the disappearance of Peach's brother, and chalked them up to Silverbreak kidnapping people for their experimentations. However, Alma discovered that there was a second pattern within those. That one that was a little bit more difficult to trace the origins of. So that is also a fun and terrifying thing that happened. And now that I think that is pretty much everything, I will just say, oh my god, Heart of Handprints. Thank you for gifting subs. Oh my gosh. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much, Heart of Handprints, and enjoy your scrolls. Okay. I think that pretty much brings us up to speed, unless I missed anything important.
Nurse what?
Right, yes. Nurse
It's
what?
very important.
An important...
Great show.
Yes.
Great show.
A great show that that Jade and Taeon sort of bonded over a little bit.
Jade is definitely spoiled by now.
Oh yeah, Absolutely.
Theon's terrible at
If
keeping
it-
secrets.
Yeah, he's very bad at keeping secrets.
Oh, also the Sedona and Teon kind of have a weird
yes,
adverse.
yes.
Their powers kind of don't interact well, which is
Yeah.
very cool.
Yep. Sedona, who has the ability to
Different
see
time zones.
see probability,
Yeah.
and Teon, who has the ability to manipulate and travel through time.
What a fun way to have to tell the people you're living with that you can see the future.
Ooh.
So a time traveler came to dinner and I had to tell my friends that I can see the future.
God, I hate it when that happens.
Yeah,
God,
it's like
so
the
annoying.
story time YouTuber. Like that's their story.
A time traveler came and my head nearly exploded. It's really clickbaity title.
That's where we left off.
That is where we... So, picking back up, not quite at the moment we left off, because basically the rest of the evening was a series of basically just a flurry of activity as flight plans were made, charts were drawn, Wire and there was a lot of Wire, Zaya, and Becker, who is currently several systems away. Basically conversing, sort of trying to set up any kind of rendezvous location so that this op can go off as flawlessly as possible. And mostly just a lot of everybody else kind of sitting on the sidelines. Largely due to the fact that y'all have had kind of a long day. And a lot of that was spent sort of in that downtime, just sort of waiting for something to happen, which can be almost as exhausting as actually actively doing things. So things having not been particularly productive the rest of the evening as far as the rest of you are concerned, eventually Wire basically sent you all home to get some rest for the evening so that discussion can happen the next day, so that you can all be fresh for that. So at the moment, before I pull us into our first sort of scene of the night, anything in particular that anybody wants to do in that short, I'd say probably maybe like a 2-hour or so period of time, between finding the location of the ship and sleeping.
I think
Wait, go for it.
Taylor was just stressing out. He's trying to stay still, but like his leg is jittering, and then his other leg is jittering, and then his toe was just going full on metronome. He'll be like standing up and just walking up and down because he's very anxious.
Oh, you're a lot for Bina then. She probably joins you at some point if that's the constant, like,
Pacing back and forth. Just
back and forth, yeah.
I'm definitely imagining Peach sitting in the bay window or whatever, if there's a window. I think you said there was, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just like in the same area where you guys are pacing back and forth and back and forth.
I think Bina recognizes that she's doing it, and then like we'll sit down and be like, "It's not my stress." She'd be like, I'm already stressed, but like it's adding it up. It's fine. Just sit down, and then like 10 minutes later, she's doing it again. Like
Mason would definitely come in with like a pot of coffee, like look at the scene, and then like slowly just back away with the coffee.
Just Homer
Relaxing
Simpson in the
out here.
background, just
relaxing for you.
yeah. So a little bit later in the evening, Peach, you find yourself just sort of laying in your bed, just staring at the ceiling. It's a little difficult to sleep, not just because of the impending action that you are about to engage in, but also from time to time, you're starting to maybe just a little bit get like a small picture of what Bina goes through all the time, as periodically people's unguarded, unshielded thoughts just sort of will drift like into your mind. Occasionally you'll hear short phrases and every once in a while, just little like words or thought fragments. Sometimes it's just images, and they're intrusive, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
But as the night goes on, you start to find yourself sort of starting to get tired enough for your eyes to fully close. And finally, there's a moment as you feel your eyelids droop and get heavy enough and close on their own. It feels like they're not closed for more than a millisecond before suddenly you are standing somewhere else. Standing in just complete and utter pitch black. Nothing around you but a sort of fog that you can kind of see and feel to some extent. The sort of moist droplets as sort of peppering your skin. You stand for a moment just looking around, and it doesn't take long for you to become immediately aware of another presence standing nearby. And you don't even have to turn around to know. It's you can feel them standing there. You don't even have to turn around to know who it is. You hear, after a moment, you hear that same heavily filtered voice that just says, "I don't know what you did, but you seem to have opened a door."
Door to where?
To each other.
Do you know where you are?
I know where I am. I have
Care to share?
Not today. I have suspicions about where you are, but I'm guessing that you are as equally reticent.
Oh, I'm on vacation.
Enjoy it while you can. Your freedom will be short-lived.
Just gonna kind of turn around.
Mm-hmm. You can see the same figure that you've expected, that you expected to see, dressed head to toe in that like tactical gear, that helmeted, tactical gear. They kind of standing in a relaxed but tensed pose, like somebody who is ready for anything to happen, but who isn't particularly concerned about whatever that eventuality might be.
You know, I feel like we know each other. I feel like we're friends.
There's no response. They're just watching you. Even though you can't see them, you can feel their gaze through the visor of the helmet.
Yeah.
They just say, it was a pretty clever trick last time. You almost got to me.
I did.
This time, though, I initiated this one, which means you don't have any control over me here.
Huh. And I'm gonna try. I don't know if I've ever tried this in the dream, but I want to try and imagine a amazing top hat on top of this stranger. Just like a beautiful, elaborate, very well made, very fancy top hat.
I can't think of a better excuse for the first roll of a game. So I'm gonna have you make an intellect roll. The difficulty on this one is going to be 8.
8
top
for
hat.
a top hat.
Roll for top hat. I love it.
God. Okay.
Roll for top
Um,
hat.
Okay, so Dreamcraft.
Mhm.
Let's see. Does just my does just my power allow me a power shift, or is it just because that just lets me do it?
I'm pretty sure it just lets you do it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I do have a power shift in Awakened Streams though. Would that knock
Yeah.
it down one? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's 2.
So down to 6.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm gonna spend I'm gonna put in 3 levels of effort. It's okay, I'm
Good.
asleep. It'll replenish.
Yeah. So it's down to a difficulty 3.
Okay.
So that's a 9 or better right now.
Cool. I'm good with that.
All right.
Because we don't roll at all last session, and we start with this session. I love that.
Okay, 9 or above for top hat, you guys. Oh, it was a 3.
Oh.
Damn it.
Yeah.
I
So
really want this top hat. Can I give?
I'm
can I
not
give
gonna
my
use. I'm not gonna
experience?
use.
Damn it.
you can if you want to.
I want to give you an experience point.
You give me an
I
XP to
want this.
reroll for a top hat.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay. If you're willing.
Oh,
I was just like, I can't use an XP, but it would just be so
But if
nice.
someone else will.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna change to a different die because something's wrong there. Okay. 17.
17. Yeah, so at first you reach out and you can feel that just iron wall of resistance that he has up. And as you push, you find, much as you did on Zolaterra, you find that weak point, the crack in the mental defenses. And you reach out, pushing through, and you watch as just sort of just this exquisite top hat just on top of the tactical helmet, just fitting actually remarkably well over the helmet, almost as if it was like cut to fit over the helmet.
Man, I haven't seen anything that nice since I was back on Anzalon Prime. For free. I gave you that for free.
The helmeted head sort of dips very slowly and then comes back up, and you just hear, "Point taken."
Like, I don't know where you are. I don't know what people have done to you. I don't know what Silverbreak has done to you. But there's always another side.
This is so much bigger than you're even aware of. Silverbreak, Ellis, they're the least of your concerns.
I'm gonna try to. I don't know if this works in dreams. Can I read his surface thoughts?
Interesting. Theoretically, yes, you could. So, but it's going to require a roll, and it's going to be as difficult as the last one. Because
Okay.
basically, for full transparency, basically, like the difficulty of the last one was due largely to the fact of basically it's right now you're in this dream space where each of you is essentially a master of your own domain, and those domains just happen to be touching at this moment in time. And so basically right now the role is difficult because you're affecting somebody else's dream space, and so that's kind of where the difficulty is coming from here. So you can attempt it, and it will be the same difficulty. It will be a difficulty 8 to attempt this.
Okay. I'll try it for
Okay.
sure. So I don't have a power shift or anything. So I guess I only have effort.
All right.
I
I mean, let me think about this for a second.
mean, unless yeah, I just have a power shift in Awakened Dreams. And
I think it still counts because this is
Dream
still
Thief.
dream related.
Okay.
I think it
cool.
still counts.
Yes. Okay, great. So down 1 difficulty.
Mhm.
So then I can again spend 3 levels of effort.
All right.
I want to know. I have no fear.
Okay. So that brings the difficulty down to 4.
Yeah, sorry, I was doing math with my intellect.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. What's that? What's the number? Yeah.
I don't know.
difficulty 4.
I don't know her.
All
Okay.
right. So 12 or better is what you need.
12 or better.
Mhm.
That's doable. I'm knocking on wood.
Mhm. What'd you get, Olivia?
I know. I rolled a 1.
Okay.
I rolled a natural 1,
All
so
right.
I think I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Sure. All right. GM intrusion then. So you reach out, but this time he's ready for you. As you reach out, just sort of trying to probe his surface thoughts, you feel just a spike of pain, located just like basically like dead center in the top of your skull, like those piercing headaches that happen sometimes. But this feels like a shard of ice has been driven through your brain, as his mental defenses kick in and push you out, and you take 5 points of intellect damage, as he just shoves you forcefully back. And as you are shoved backwards, you involuntarily, your eyes fly open, and you're once again just laying in the apartment in your bed, staring directly at the ceiling.
Just kind of breathing really deeply. And is anybody in the room? Am I still in the living area?
No, right now you're in your room.
Okay.
Actually,
I'm
out of curiosity, did we determine who was sharing? Because I know that somebody was sharing.
I think all we said was that Jade got to have his own room.
Right. Yeah.
I think Mason opted for his own room.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. Was that a thing that happened, or am I making that up?
I don't remember, to be honest.
I don't remember either.
I think temporarily, Taeyeon is probably either sleeping on the couch or sharing Jade's room, which Jade probably would have offered. So
That would be so cute.
Yeah.
I mean, Bean and Peach could be bunking together.
Sure.
If you want to make a scene, if you want someone in the room, we can make
Yeah.
that happen. If you want to,
because I don't think we actually determined this. So
I can
feel
see them bunking together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of get up and is Bina awake at that point, or is she asleep?
Ooh, what time is it?
by this point, I'd say that it's probably like, I don't know. I'd say it's probably like the equivalent of like just midnight, I would say. So like I could see.
Because you would see Peach literally like jerk out of bed and like be like physically like kind of being like in pain.
Sorry.
And you might feel it if you were awake.
I was gonna say if you don't mind my stepping in here, I just had this like perfect mental image of like
Do it. Yes.
Peach
give
sort
us
of
a scene.
jerking awake and then like sitting up in bed, looking over at Bina and seeing like one antenna just sort of twitch, and then twitch again, and then one eye opens and looks at you.
You good?
I just had a nightmare.
Yeah, it was a weird one. I was already awake, but like, you didn't wake me up or anything. But you did feel really weird for a while. Lucas, would you say was she dreaming for a while, or was it a period
Honestly,
of time?
for you, it was probably about 10 seconds or so.
Yeah, you feel kind of funny.
So I know it's kind of the middle of the night, so we can always revisit it in the morning, but
Being will like sit up and be like, all right, alert, let's do it.
you know the super that we fought that had the mimicry power?
Hard to forget.
I think they also mimicked my power, and I think it's the same person. And we've been communicating in my dreams. Only this time they brought themselves in and I didn't bring them there.
Weird. Dream to dream communication.
Yeah, a little spooky.
Is that a bad thing? I don't know.
He said that Ellis and Silverbreak were the least of our concerns. So that struck me as odd because I assumed that he was working with Ellis. So either Ellis is someone's above him, he's reporting to someone, or there's another faction at play that we aren't aware of.
Well, all bad options. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I did say it was a nightmare. I did warn you.
Yeah,
Nightmares kind of tend to be real now, so.
Yeah. Let's see. Is there anything we can do about it right this second?
No, my head hurts too much. I don't think I can.
You should go to sleep.
I would say it's at this
I wasn't
point.
suggesting you should do something about it. I was just trying to get you to go back to sleep.
Do you think we have any ice or like frozen peas or something?
Probably.
I would
Yeah, I'm
say
just gonna get up
Yes,
at that
Lucas.
point and go and try to walk.
Wait, what's up, Lucas?
it's at this point that Bina, like, you're like, the sleep has cleared enough from your eyes that
Yeah.
you've like kind of, you taking a good look at Peach, you can see just the slightest trickle of blood kind of coming out of the nostril, just sort of.
It's fine. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. But I'm gonna go get some ice. I think.
Okay, maybe get a tissue too.
Yeah. I'm gonna go out and get some ice and then go sit in kind of the bay window and watch the street for a little while with the ice.
Okay. All right. So,
Mina's gonna be awake for like 2 hours.
Peach, as you're walking past Jade's room, you can hear voices as the and stopping for a moment to listen, you can hear that Jade and Taeyeon are deeply invested in like a conversation about Nurse What.
Slumber party.
I'm just gonna listen for a second and try and hear, and then just so later I can bring it up and pretend I'm knowledgeable, just to make them talk about it more and be excited.
No, seriously, you don't understand. So basically, the professor came back, and this time she was a he.
Wait. The professor came back?
Yeah.
But I thought I thought he was gone after the last time. Wait, how does that even make sense?
Honestly, I'll be honest. That was one of the times where there was like a very clear plot hole, but they never actually addressed it. You know, we kind of just skimmed over it because
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I mean, I guess sometimes like the writing is such that, you know, you can kind of gloss over it and it'll be okay because everything else just sort of fits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the only thing that kind of annoys me is that they kind of completely disregarded the professor's like character growth. Like the whole season before was just gone. Like it didn't mean anything.
That sucks. I'm not really looking forward to that. And then that's about the point. You just sort of walk away.
I really want there to be a character like called the Bachelor in this Nurse What, because in Doctor Who, there's the Doctor, the Master. There should be a Bachelor. I don't know.
That's a good one. Yeah, the professor was literally
Like the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost.
And you think something on the spot, the professor, but the Bachelor
good.
is honestly better. I like that more.
All right. You spend
Anyways, continue.
you spend some time just sort of staring out at the street. Looking out over the city, Sulon never has a moment where it completely is quiet or where activity ends, given that there's really no day-night cycle, and it means the city basically runs 24 hours. It just constantly going. You can, from your window, you can look up and you can see, kind of looking across the hollowed out asteroid, you can see the ever-present lanes of traffic that are just sort of high up above the city, just constantly streaming. So, jumping to, I'd say, the next day, as you know, everybody eventually finds sleep, restful or otherwise. Eventually, you will go ahead and cut back to Wire's cave. And as you're all just arriving and gathering there, and basically Wire barely acknowledges you as she just sort of like raises her head and just nods and continues like moving things around and like monitoring screens, as Zaya is sort of sitting in the corner, uncharacteristically thoughtful, as she's just sort of sipping a nearly forgotten cup of coffee, as she's just sort of staring off into the corner, just sort of. And of course, the Professor Tenoris is just sort of, as always, just sort of parked in front of the containment device that you created for the artifact, and just is sort of taking down notes and seems largely unaware of everything going on around him.
I want to go plant myself like exactly opposite side of him and like look through the containment thing at him and be like, have you taken a break from this at any point recently?
He doesn't look up from writing notes. He says, yes, actually. And then he finally like looks at his terminal and says, about too long ago. And he kind of closes his notebook and sets it down and says, yes.
I feel like sustained contact with it doesn't, I don't know, not that I'm doubting my mechanical skills, but like, we don't know a lot about it. Maybe take a walk
Actually,
every once in a while.
the interesting thing is, as a matter of fact, this is one of the things I noted down earlier today. The interesting thing is that ever since we put it in this containment field, I've felt less watched. So it seems to be working, the device. So that gives me some level of confidence. So,
I mean, I guess I trust my work. I don't trust it.
yes, that is true. It
We
is a
brought
device.
breakfast, though. Maybe sit 20 feet away from it while you eat.
Yes, I probably should eat, shouldn't I? And
Yeah,
he, like,
she does. She sets a bag around, reaches around with one of her arms and gives him a to-go bag.
he stands up, grabs the bag, and then pulls the chair away from the table for a bit, and starts opening the bag and looking through, utterly consumed with the task of sustenance. Wire looks up from one of her screens. She says, "Okay, so here's what I've found." As you all sort of slowly begin gathering around the table where she sort of set out a bunch of different star charts, she just looks up at the holographic display of the ship that you found. She says, "Oh, sorry, this is it. This is what I found. Nothing. I can't find any relevant data on this besides the location. And I guess here," she passes over a data pad to you, Bina. She says, "I mean, this is some information on the approximate make of the vessel. I don't know, maybe you'll find something in there that's useful that I don't know about, but honestly, this place it's built to be invisible, and they've done a good job.
Well, I mean, it's in an uninhabited system near the border world, so like, good choice if you want to not be seen."
Yeah, but I mean, they went out of their way to hide this. I mean, even at best, at the highest speeds, it would still take about 10 to 15 days from the nearest conduit. I mean, it is They went out of their
Wow.
way to be out of the way. And there's nothing out there, no signal relays, nothing. If they are heavily encrypted and under a ghost, a excuse me, under a ghost a ghost firewall. It is. If it's out there to be found, I cannot find it.
Well, I know only about things about ships, so I'm gonna look at this and see if anything sparks my interest. And she's gonna go sit down somewhere and start poring over what she found because navigation or like locating things. She's like, I'm not gonna need any help, so she's just gonna go look at the ship and try to see what she can glean from that.
Yeah. Zaya stands up and she's finally setting down the coffee, seeming to finally admit defeat, and walks over to the table and she says, "Look, there's got to be something. We can't go in there without anything. I mean, you expect us to just go in without a plan and hope for the best?" Wire just looks at her and says, "Of course I don't." She says, "But I don't see how we're going to find any information from here. We don't really have a lot of options, and we don't exactly have the benefit of time. This ship is moving soon. We don't know. We still don't know where it's going."
Can we tail it on quiet running mode?
I thought about that, but the issue with that is that once they reach their destination, we can assume that that's going to be the highest security that response of anywhere else along its trajectory. Honestly, the best bet is, I think our best bet is to hit it sometime in transit, but it's going to be a monumental task.
We've done it small scale. We've had practice.
Yeah. Problem is, without some form of powerful interdiction field, there's no way to stop this thing once it's in transit. So the best way is to track it. I mean, it's going to have to stop when it's going to have to drop out of FTL whenever it approaches conduits. So we can assume that going through the conduits when it drops out in the vicinity of one is probably going to be the best time to hit it. But
I don't know what conduit. I'm sorry. I wish I remembered anything, but I don't. I don't know where they're going.
yeah, I mean, it's infinitely more than we had yesterday. But basically, what I'm trying to avoid is what's looking more and more like an inevitability, and that is that I'm going to have to send you in there completely blind. That basically you're going to have to wing it. And that's...
I'm pretty good at winging it.
And
That's
I
not
also enjoy winging it.
Actually, if you ask my teammates, if you could ask that's all I really do.
It's not how I operate.
Well, if they're currently out of the way, solo takes time to get there. It would take us time to get there. But if we could push them to the point of dead in the water, they can't get help either. So if we could get them while they're still far enough away from immediate assistance.
Zaya,
I mean, I fix ships as much as it pains me. I can also take them apart.
Zaya nods. Actually, that could work. I mean, if they're moving soon, then, and we don't have much time to waste, we can just go to the nearest conduit because we know that's where they're going to be going. They're going to have to drop out of FTL to go through it, so maybe we catch them while they're there. do what we can to disable their some of their systems, long range communications, propulsion, that kind of stuff.
Is there anything that we could put together that could help put a dampen on that? I haven't looked at, I haven't asked the GM about the ship, what I've read yet, but like, is there, I don't know how fast it would regenerate, how fast it would come back online, but is there anything you can do that, it's a big ship, I'm a small Orzai, that would help me?
Wire's, you can see Wire's face is sort of like it's all, you can almost see the gears turning as she's sort of thinking over this stuff.
Like an EMP, but for specific systems.
She says, "No, I don't have anything like that. But I can give you I can give you a temporary a temporary solution, which is that might give you just enough time to get in. A comms jammer might help, but for at least a short time. It'll get you in, it'll scramble their sensors a bit and make it even harder for them to tell that you're there, that anything has happened. It might give you the time that you need to get in and do a more permanent job."
In the middle of that statement, Bina whirls around and says, "Alma."
she looks up, goes, "What?
Do you what's the largest system you've connected to outside of Awakener?
Probably, I mean, Sulon's comms and traffic control. Why?
This is going to be a really big ship. Do you think that's something you'd be able to help me out with? Just a few systems? Not all of it, obviously.
Maybe, but I'm still going to be susceptible to any firewalls that they have in place. I could...
It's backup. Maybe.
I could maybe cause a breach, but it'd be just a matter of time before they found me. And
maybe you don't actually have to take the systems offline. Maybe we can make them believe that there are systems offline. Mundane ones that they have to deal with while we... not necessarily a Trojan horse, because that's not a reference I would make here in this time and space, but like...
The ambush.
A distraction. We get them focusing somewhere else, and we get in a different way. I don't know. I'm spitballing here. These are the only things Caitlin knows about ships.
No, that's... Wire just nods. No, that's good. I mean, we can't... Without being physically on board, we can't take out any of their systems in any reliable and covert way, but we can just bombard them with garbage signals and all kinds of just garbage data. And I mean, protocol at that point would dictate that they shut everything down and do a full system reboot, and that actually could be your window.
Feel like making another virus?
Yeah.
It's also an option.
I can do that. Okay, so signal jammer, and she kind of thinks, yeah, I can write something. Brushfire protocol.
So, Wire, how did you track the ship to where it is now? How'd you find it?
Honestly, it was a lot of guesswork and luck, and with input from the data that Taeon gave me. I just ran the same data sweep that I ran before, only this time with new data points from, well, the future, I guess. Things that I couldn't have known otherwise that helped me triangulate a signal and find the most likely candidate for its location.
We knew it existed. You just needed a little bit more information.
Needed some new reference points that I had prior to Taeon arriving. I had no way of getting.
But you don't know where they're going. No.
That's information that I could only get by hacking into their servers, and like I said, if it's there, they have it hidden well.
I could try hacking reality a little bit.
Hack the planet.
Okay. What did you have in mind?
Let me just try something. And I'm gonna go kind of over where it's a little bit quiet. I know this is kind of a small place where we are, but I'm gonna kind of go where it's a little quieter. And and I'm going to use premonition to try and learn one random fact about a location that is pertinent to a topic I designate. So yeah, I'm basically just kind of going and closing my eyes and imagining kind of empty space, focusing on the ship, the information that Wire showed us, and then kind of seeing the area of space and kind of just letting the image come
Okay.
to where they're headed.
So you
That's only 2 intellect points. That's so cute.
Yeah. You reach
My
out
edge eats that all.
and you start seeing just flashes of images, things that your mind barely has time to comprehend as they're just sort of flashing past you. And then there's a moment where you focus on the real-time image of the holographic ship that holographic image that you've seen. You're seeing the ship itself, and then suddenly you focus in for a split second, and then suddenly it's that rushing of images again, only this time the ship stays focused in your mind. The ship stays focused and everything else is just rushing past you. You see, periodically you find yourself stopping in unrecognizable star fields, and just sort of at one point you see stopping, the ship passes through a conduit, and once again just kind of a blur, and then finally you see a structure in space that appears to be 4 I forget what the term for this particular shape is, but it's basically essentially like pyramid with flat top. That it's basically like that. There are 4 of those towers that are
Pylons.
Yeah, basically.
Is that the word?
Like
Maybe.
obelisks or
Kind of.
pylons. Those are different vibes.
Yeah, no, these are these are just like huge towers that you can see even from this distance, from the perspective of the ship that you sort of seem to be following. There are 4 of them connected by several structures that go in between them. There are hundreds of other ships in the vicinity of it, and as you look beyond this ship that is utterly dwarfed by this massive structure in space, you can see prominently featured on one of them just the Silverbreak logo on one of the towers. And while you don't recognize this as being a headquarters of any kind of Silverbreak, it is certainly large enough to be. You've never seen nor heard of any structure like this related to the corpse, but you're seeing it, and as you follow the ship in, once again, images blur past you, still focused on the ship, and suddenly you're no longer seeing the ship. At least at first that's what it seems, and then you realize you are seeing it, but from a different perspective. You're seeing the inside of it, as a docking corridor extends from the ship itself to the enormous towering structure in space. You can see various Silverbreak corporate security leading a line of individuals, just bags pulled over their heads, leading them through this corridor. Most of them shuffling along in a way that suggests that they are heavily sedated. And just in that moment, you just sort of, you just sort of pull completely out of that vision, but not before you note a small plaque on the station side, on the tower side of the docking corridor, that says facility SB-B72A.
Yeah, can you say that one more time?
Yeah. It just says station SB-B72A.
Okay. I'm just gonna kind of not jerk, but just kind of open my eyes and turn back to everybody. Yeah, so So we might be following them directly to a Silverbreak headquarters. And I'm going to describe everything that I saw in extreme detail.
Teon, the description that Peach gives you is almost a perfect match for the facility that you and your team raided before to get you here. It is
Stable time loop, stable time loop, stable time
it
loop.
is located at least in your time, because it is mobile. It is located in your time at the far edge of the galaxy, at the distant edge of corporate space.
Facility SBB72A. Wire.
She says, "That's definitely a Silverbreak designation. Hold on." And she starts like plugging away at the console.
I think the moment you say that, Taewon's face just drops completely.
Familiar?
Bina then looks probably like whatever emotion you feel. Bina's like, oh, uh-oh.
Oh, what emotion you feel? I think could I think probably sorrow. I think sorrow is probably like the best description I can think of.
Yeah, if there's a snap emotions catch Bina's attention very quickly. So she would be eyes on you like
Yeah,
immediately.
like more like he remembered something, or that reminded him of something, and he just did not like the memory. Yeah, that's the facility. That's the facility we raided, where they created the machine that could send people back. Yeah, it's mobile. When I raided it, it was on the other side, like right on the edge of corporate space. I guess it could lead you there, but I don't know if it's gonna be there now.
Wire says, "Doesn't matter anyway." She pulls up the display, and you can see like the only search result is like the mention of the facility by the name, and the rest of the document is redacted. She says, "This is some top grade encryption here. I'm not going to be able to get through this anytime soon. Certainly not soon enough to be able to help with what we're doing now. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still going to do it just to find out anything we can about them, but..."
Well, we don't want to wait till it gets there.
Yeah,
Anyways.
that's kind of the warning. We can't let them get too close, wherever that is.
I want them dead in the water where they're not going to get help in time.
Well,
if we're doing this without info.
I will say, we definitely should get them before, because no offense to you guys, but my team was a lot more skilled than all of you, and yeah, a lot of them didn't make it.
Zaya shoots you sort of a sympathetic look, and then she says, "And that's with the corpse being with their backs against the wall."
That's what I've been saying. There aren't very many of us, so we have to do it when they don't have backup.
Zaya looks over at Wire, who looks back at her, and Wire's eyes close, and she's. You get the sense that it's sort of like a wordless conversation just passed between the two of them, and Zaya just says, "Come on, this is exactly what he does." And Wire says, "Fine, bring him in." And Zaya says, "Okay," and she like reaches down to her terminal, and a moment later you can see like the holographic image of Becker is being like basically like just chest up is being projected next to the imagery that you're seeing. Taeyeon, interestingly, you are actually familiar with Becker Shaw. Becker Shaw is a key leader in the resistance during your time. He's significantly younger here than you've ever seen him, but doesn't yet have the streaks of gray that are sort of permeating the curly red hair, um, but the face is the same one that you are familiar with. He's the display suddenly comes to being. He says, "All right, Zaya's been filling me in on what you've got so far. So we're thinking a small strike. Is that the plan?"
And I poke my head
Yes,
out from
please.
behind everyone.
You see his eyes flick to you, and he like notices you. You can see on his face like that he has taken full note of you, but then continues speaking as he just says, "All right. Well, if it's a matter of breaching, that should be easy enough to do. I can get us inside easily, without having to worry about any sort of hull sensors or tripping any alarms from cutting through."
That's nice to hear.
And he turns to Wire and speaking to the rest of you, but you can see that he's making eye contact with her, and he says, I'll leave my current location, and I can rendezvous with you before you make your way through the conduit to this region of space. If you can pick me up here, you can see like coordinates. Basically, he looks down to his terminal, and you can see coordinates get beamed through to you, Bina, in particular. And he says, "You can pick me up here at this station, and then we'll go the rest of the way together."
What was the ETA to this location that we thought, these Border Worlds location? How long did we think it would take us to get there?
From where?
From where we are right now.
From where you are right now?
Yeah.
Probably be about 3 days, but then it would be an additional. For Awakener, it'd probably be about another 12 days or so from the conduit to where the ship is departing from.
Yes.
But
Yes.
but you don't need to make that trip. That part of the trip you don't need to make, because you're trying to hit it before it goes through the conduit. So, and since that's the only one in that region, you know it's definitely going there.
Cool. So we want to go like ASAP.
Wire says, I can try to tap into that conduit's network and try to create some delays, widen the window for you. But even still, you're not going to have much time. Everything has to be perfect.
You want to give me a little bit of time to go through the ship specs, see if we can come up with anything that might help us, if there's any assistance you can give us to take with us, and then we go.
She nods and says, "Yeah, that could be useful, but some of that stuff might have to be done on the way." So, just as for me, I just need. She does some quick mental calculations. She says, "Give me about half a day, and I can give you what we've discussed already: the jammer and the brush fire protocol."
Cool.
I'm gonna I point at Wire's like mechanical arm. Is that still hurting?
She looks at you, and for a moment, like, you involuntarily take a step back. It's not that her look is particularly like angry or fearsome, but there's just something in her eye when she looks at you that just makes just like this intensity that just makes you take a step back for a second. She just says, "I'm okay."
I'm just asking because I did kind of speed you up last time without giving you a warning, and I feel like that might have been my fault. I'm sorry about that.
Her face briefly softens, and she says, "It's not your fault. This it happens."
Okay. Well, I was also gonna ask, would you like me to speed you up?
She says, "No, but I also don't think we have a lot of choice right now." So.
Okay then. So yeah, I place a hand on her shoulder, and then I kind of erupt into, like, just for a second, it's like flames, but like the northern lights kind of flames, and then they all divert onto her, and then extinguish, and then she's just I don't know how many times faster exactly. Doesn't say give exact amount, but she's a lot faster.
Yeah, she is just suddenly not there. You can see just sort of like the streak that she leaves behind of that sort of aurora-like trail that she just leaves behind her. She is immediately back into her nook as she is working. Becker sort of takes a moment and just looks at Taeyeon with some with curiosity. He says, "Nice trick." He says, "Anyway, I'll meet you in a few days."
You soon.
He says, "Shaw out," and then just the communication cuts.
Okay, I want to learn everything I can learn about this ship.
Okay.
I'm trying to see if I have. I don't think I have any abilities that assist me.
I'm not going to
in
make you
any
make a roll on this one because it's pretty easy to go through these specs. A lot of them are basically, this is a modified cruiser, I believe. I'll have to double check that, but I believe this is essentially like the base frame of the ship is cruiser.
Is this the same size as the capital ship we woke up on? No, wait, no. The capital. Wait.
Yeah.
Was the capital ship the one that glassed Eos, or was that the one we were on?
It's the one that. Okay, so there were two. There was the
yeah,
one,
I know. That's why I don't remember which.
There's the one that you were on, and then the other
Yes.
that. I don't know if we said this actually, but I know it's something that would have happened. Is that you would have identified it later as. It's very telling that the first name that came to mind was Elon Musk, but that's not the name I'm talking about. That's not the name here. Damian Ellis's personal flagship, the Silverfall.
Okay, you had the flagship, and then we woke up on a capital ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Right. I've written here: escape Tatmo as capital ship wrecks and explodes. Okay. Cool. So how comparable is this to that?
To which one? The one you woke up on?
To modified cruiser. The one I'm looking at now.
So
the one I'm researching.
Okay. Sorry. What are the two that you were comparing?
The one we woke up on
Okay.
to the one we're about to get.
They are basically the same. They appear to be built on the same frame.
Bad vibes all around.
Yeah. Although I will say that the one that you are looking at right now is a little smaller than the one that you woke up on.
Okay, that's Okay, that's what I want to know.
Yeah, it's not quite
Like significantly, or just like a little bit.
No, it's a little bit. Like they're definitely within the same size class of vessel, but
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, this one is like a little bit less. So if the other one was like large enough to be kind of like the size of probably the largest like skyscrapers on Anzalon Prime, this one is maybe closer to like the smallest skyscrapers on Anzalon Prime. So they're within the same category, but they're all like polar opposite ends of it, basically.
Okay. Small skyscraper.
Mhm.
Got it.
Yep, small skyscraper.
Okay. I won't make you like give me like specs or anything, but like, is this a ship that Bina is familiar with? Have I done work on this type of ship before or something similar?
You probably haven't worked on a ship of this frame because mostly these are generally the types of frames that are used in like either like enormous cargo transports, which is generally not the type of ship that Bina tended to work on. Just because Station 23 didn't have the facilities to house them anyway. But basically, these are like, you were probably familiar with them like in theory more than like with any practical hands-on experience with them.
But like, I at least recognize the type of ship. I could find those specs online.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to do that.
Yeah.
And like,
and there's the only problem with that is that there's no guarantee that what you're gonna find there is gonna be a perfect match, but it'll get you close enough. Like it'll give you at the very least
familiar.
At the very least it'll give you some of the commonalities, such as like engine location, like engineering location, and like the all that important stuff.
What are the most recent recalls? Like what part? Like that. Like Bina's gonna do like like she loves this shit.
The
like
flaw in the Death Trap or in the Death Star Death Trap.
Yeah, basically. Not that. I'm not looking for like the loose scale on the dragon's belly, but like just like I want to be as familiar as possible because this is something that she would probably do for fun. Like, like Wikipedia rabbit hole.
Yep.
Like I feel like she does that with like ship types sometimes.
Oh God,
Like,
I just had this image of like Bina doing this research during this time, but also like periodically stopping, pulling up tabs to like look at different things that aren't
Other
related
ones?
at all.
I feel like Alma has to come by every once in a while and like tap her and be like, she's like, right. She like closes all of them and goes back to
Like
the
this is point.
ones.
Yeah, like at one point Bina just like, oh my God, did you see that they upgraded the frame on the X75 and almost like Bina, right? No, not important.
No, that one, not important. I'll look at it later. We have 3 days of travel. It's fine. Yeah. What she does is she starts saving like web pages to her terminal that she, for light reading for the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah. She spends some time trying to just like this ships that are similar, known modifications. Like she's kind of like doing this she wants to do this spider web to kind of just like,
yeah,
this is what I'm good at. I gotta be really good at it.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna tell you then, that because of your doing this, any checks that you make that are related to like the operation of the ship itself, of that ship, you can treat as having an asset on those. So
hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make a note because I will forget if it doesn't happen this session.
All right. Anything else anybody wants to do like in terms of preparation here?
I think nothing to do with preparation, but I think Taeyeon is unusually quiet now. He's just sitting, just seems to be deep in thought, just absolutely silent.
Yep.
Seeing as it's probably pretty noticeable, I'm gonna go sit kind of by him and just kind of chill unless he wants to like start talking.
No, he doesn't even notice you sat next to him. He's just,
Yeah, I'm just gonna sit next to you and start kind of like reading the news again and see if there's anything weird.
I'm gonna give Jade some safety tips on firearms.
Okay.
Since
God.
He's probably carrying a weapon of some kind, or maybe not. I don't remember.
He has attempted to do so on previous occasions. Luckily, it was just Desiree that he was doing.
Yes.
But he. Let's put it this way. It is almost physically painful for Mason watching Jade handle any kind of firearm. So, yeah. During this time, you and Jade have a little bit of this, and Jade goes, Oh, that's really good to know. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it is good. And you never, when you see the chamber there.
Yeah.
It's empty. How do you know?
Because
you gotta check it.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right. Yep. You gotta check it. Gotta check. Make sure.
Oh, and make sure the muzzle's facing the floor too.
He lowers it. Right.
And you never put your finger on the trigger.
Yes.
Unless
that one I knew. I knew that one.
That's important.
Yeah.
Here, let me see it real quick.
He hands it to you.
And kind of just looks it over and I'm sure Mason has a few others he probably collected over the course of gets one that's probably more his handling and takes unloads it. See how I'm doing that? And takes the clip out and empties everything and puts the clip back in and hands it empty. Now just practice what you know without anything in there.
I'll say, just for the sake of this, that Sedona is kind of has been watching this whole thing, and like she just looks at you. She says, "Do you think I can try?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Come. She takes one. She takes a hold of it, and like it looks awkward in her hands, but just as you're about to like go and explain, suddenly you watch as she like right in front of you just starts deconstructing the whole thing in front of you, and then puts it back together, right there, and she just looks up at you and says, Sorry, you showed me that. Well, you were going to.
Oh.
Sick.
Well,
That's cool as hell.
it's
Very sick.
it's good to know that I'm actually good at teaching this stuff, I guess.
She nods. She says, "You definitely would have been." And Jade is just like watching her, and like he's just like mouth just completely open, and he's like, "Wow."
I can't even really do that. It's awesome. Not that fast.
And she just sort of taps
Wow.
her head. She says, "Nelfin adaptability. It helps sometimes."
That's really impressive.
Thanks. It's actually how I knew how to. She kind of looks suddenly very, very embarrassed, and she says, "It's actually how I knew how to break into your ship."
That
And
makes sense.
Alma slams the table at like in front, and she said, "I knew it. I knew that you couldn't have gotten through on your own." And Sedona just shrugs, and she says, "Not with. I mean, no offense, but not without me knowing it." And Sedona nods. She says, "Yeah, I." Let's just. She says, "I mean, a couple of the dock workers in that area where you were keeping Awakener. It's probably better that we moved it from there, because they know a few things." So Jade, after or actually I'll say that this after Jade makes you, Mason, promise that you'll continue working on it in transit. Jade goes back to helping Bina look over some of this stuff, some of like the ship specs and things like that.
Oh yeah, I want Jade to have probably not the same rabbit hole knowledge that Bina does, but I think Bina would insist like maybe would put together like a, let's be real, pretty choppy like at a glance list. Like she would just find things that were important and just start chucking them like onto a text document, just to like make sure she's like, okay, she loves to read all of it, but even she can recognize that not all of it's relevant. So she, for everyone's sake, but like specifically for Jade, so that we have like a cheat sheet.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So, at the end of this period of time, Wire comes back out of the of her little nook as she steps over to the table and places two devices on the table. One is a data disk that she sets on the table, and she says, "This one is the brushfire protocol. I've written in some codes that should make it compatible with your systems." She nods to Alma, and she hands that over. She says, "And this is the signal jammer that I reprogrammed for this class of ship. So it should buy you about it probably won't buy you more than 15 minutes, but
Should be enough.
extend that out maybe another 5 with the brushfire protocol. And honestly, that the brushfire protocol is more for once you're already on the ship, but to evade security systems and whatnot. Just the problem with that one is that just like the one that I had Zaya install on the ship that was carrying you, it's going to have to be placed physically, taken to the ship's mainframe.
I guess that wouldn't be a question for Wire. From what I've read so far, will we have to be on the bridge for that, or
No.
can I do it from? Okay, cool.
No. Yeah, no, you wouldn't have to do that. Wire just sort of puts her hands on the table and just seems to like just exhales, and you can see as her straight dark hair just sort of falls and kind of in curtains around her face as she looks down at the table, and she looks back up and she says, "We're only going to get one shot at this."
Make it count.
She looks over at Zaya, and again you get the sense that there's that sort of like wordless communication that passes between them, and Zaya just shakes her head. She says, "It's better this way." And Bina, you feel like like just a brief flash of irritation from Wire at that, and then it gradually fades away to resignation, and she just says, I know, I just can't help but feel like I would be more help if I was with you. Zaya shakes her head and says, no. We need you here.
We definitely need you here.
Wire nods. Okay. Well, she glances over her shoulder where the professor's sort of just standing, kind of watching over all the proceedings, and he nods. He says, they'll be fine. He says, and I'll be here to help with whatever you need. She nods and says, well then, no time like the present. She says, she looks at Taeon and says, no offense.
Untaken. My present's better anyway.
Zaya then just sort of swings her long coat over her shoulder and holsters her pistol, and she says, well, what are we waiting for?
Let's do this thing.
All right. And as you make your exit, stepping over to walking across the city to where Awakener is currently docked, that is where we're going to take our break.
I have a great feeling about this.
Oh boy.
I feel great about this. I think we've prepped very well.
Yeah, our 20 minutes of prep was solid.
Yeah, perfect. We did it.
Exactly.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a break, probably about 10 minutes or so, and we will be back here. Odds and ends, thank you so much for the birthday wishes.
Happy birthday, Lucas. Hey, Lucas.
Happy birthday.
Hey,
Happy
happy
birthday.
birthday. Hey, Lucas,
Hey,
happy birthday.
Happy
Hey,
birthday.
Lucas, you're great. Happy
Hey,
birthday.
Lucas.
Birth.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Happy birthday.
And we're back. Hello, everybody.
Happy birthday, Lucas.
All right, and that's all we have for tonight.
Happy birthday. I don't know. It's a TGI Friday song.
You
All
bring
right.
out a cake, but then you can't eat it because you're far away.
Like, hey, we'll just eat
Lucas
it here
could
and
be a
tell
cake.
you how it tastes.
I have no way of knowing. Lucas
That's
is
true.
not a
Everything is a
cake.
cake these days. So
Everything is cake.
everything is
I have
cake.
not seen him in almost a year. He could be a cake.
That's very true.
Never
know.
I was gonna check at Gen Con, but I can't now. So he
It's-
gets to be a cake
when
for
you
another
just when
year.
you've just met somebody, it's socially unacceptable to try
Check
any
if they're
methods
cake.
of
Yeah.
determining whether or not somebody is cake. So, yeah,
Are you a baked good?
yeah.
Or we need you to take one for the team. You need to get down there and check if it's cake.
Got it. Tomorrow.
Yeah.
You leave and show up on stream.
Oh yeah, okay. That works too.
No, doctor, I had to violate social distancing. I had to check
I
if
had
my
to.
friend
I
was a
needed
cake.
to know if he was cake. You don't understand. Oh no.
Anyway,
Happy birthday, Lucas.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday.
Lucas.
Unconfirmed if cake.
yes. I just as a last derailment here, I say optimistically. I can't help but think of like homestarrunner.com, the Teen Girl Squad. It's the cake one. Anyway,
The cake one.
I'm the cake one.
Yeah.
All right. Getting back into the game.
A really great plan.
Oh, okay.
Gonna be
Yeah.
perfect.
The absolutely
Very well thought
flawless
out.
plan. All right. When we left off, the crew of Awakener, along with new arrival Taeon, were just about to depart.
Honorary crew.
We're just about to depart Sulon to rendezvous with Becker, and before going through the conduit, where they would attempt to ambush the carrier that houses all of these supers that are being held by super. The words are hard. Silverbreak.
Subaru.
All of them.
Subaru, yes. Subaru is transporting
Subaru.
the Subaru. It's actually Subaru. It's a new car. Anyway,
The line of spaceship.
Jesus, I bailed
I
out of
for
that.
some-
I
I went-
bailed out of that.
I
The
went
really
lesbians,
fast.
yeah.
I went completely
Yeah, it's the
weird.
lesbians.
Lesbians are fond of
spaceship.
it.
There's
Yeah.
a character called Subaru in
Has
an
a
anime.
cult
I was like,
following.
an anime?
The anime Superman.
Anime Subaru?
Anyway,
Okay.
what? Yeah. So that's where we left off. You were all just getting back onto Awakener. Where I think it is appropriate that we have a small scene as you are arriving on the ship as Abriel, who has for the last basically since the previous night was once again accompanied by Patch. Abriel is now seemingly having been granted the ability to move around the vessel with Patch closely watching, is now in the hold of the ship as you all make your way up. And she says, "So, Patch says we're leaving soon, going after my sister."
Mhm.
She nods. Says, "Good. Who is that?"
And
Ah.
when he says that, like, turn around, like,
You know how we like
Oh.
strays, Abriel.
I do.
Taeyeon, introduce yourself to our very friendly doctor.
hi, I'm Taeyeon. Oh, I'm from the future.
She seems to take a moment, process that information. She's sure, okay. She says, "Welcome aboard." I
Bina
guess.
turns and says, "We've been taking a lot of things in stride recently."
Abriel just sort of nods and just says, "Oh, yeah, you have no idea." And she says, "Okay, well, I'll get the med bay ready. I assume this is going to go horribly wrong." And she just turns and doesn't just heads back
Thanks.
towards the med bay. And
We got upgrades in the med bay,
yes,
correctly?
that is
Yes.
correct. Hmm.
Did we do the the
bunks?
quarters?
Yes, quarters. So basically, at this point, everybody has their own now.
Ooh.
Look
Look at us.
as-
Did we come back and it's remodeled?
Yeah,
Like we've been gone for a
basically.
few days.
Bina's been working hard.
Like a TikTok renovation video.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's obsessed
Oh,
with
yeah.
TikTok like I am, but
I don't know. I think Amethyst Cat Lady can give you a run for your money in the TikTok obsession.
Oh, this is not related
Mhm.
and not important at all, but during our month-long break here, did we ever get to go for a walk with Patch, or did they decide they didn't want to do that? Because we had talked about briefly that if they wanted to get off the ship and go, we would go with them so that they wouldn't feel as nervous because they would have organics on their side.
Interestingly, the interesting thing about that is that while they were wary for the first few days, eventually there was one day where basically Patch insisted on going back to Awakener at the end of the day to keep an eye on Abriel, and with nobody else heading in that direction, Patch just went by themselves. And they basically from that moment on became almost instantly comfortable with
Nice.
basically taking.
We are getting over our agoraphobia today, folks. Everybody, we got Alma, we got Patch, we are doing it.
Yeah, but essentially that first experience of moving alone through the streets of Sulan seemed to alleviate any further alleviate their apprehensions as well as reassure them, and just sort of to the point where you're not entirely sure if they ever went off and wandered by themselves, but you know that there were times when they were gone for significant periods of time where they might have been just on Awakener and they might have been wandering. It's impossible to tell, and Patch certainly didn't. So
Yeah. Because there were multiple people who were nervous about it, Bina loudly and often offered to go on walks with people, to anybody, even to people who would be fine on their own,
Yeah.
just so that no one would feel bad about wanting to go for a walk. But Bina always wants to go on a walk.
Mhm.
So you can ask me if you want to go, I'll go with you.
See, Alma is probably one of the one of the few people who actually like took you up on that. But
It was for her.
yeah, but the thing about Alma
Yeah.
is that she rarely got past she didn't ever get comfortable enough to like leave the relatively deserted streets in the
Yeah.
vicinity of your apartment. So like
There's a lot of people who've been cooped up for a really long time,
mhm.
and we need to make sure they get out
Yeah.
occasionally. So yeah, over the month that was kind of
Yeah, and
yeah,
also
okay. I just wanted to know if
also
Patch
in the
wanna
game
look.
as well. So
I'm happy to go on walks with anyone as well. Vina and
I went on
Peach can.
I went on a walk every day this week, you guys. It was really nice.
hey.
That's so nice.
Anyway.
It's been 103 degrees
Oh,
here.
Oh,
Oh
Terrible.
no.
Ooh.
Anyways, I just want to know if Patch
Sure.
wanted to walk. That was the point of that.
But right now, as you are all getting resettled, as you've brought essentially like you haven't like moved back on to Awakener because you didn't have the time for that, but you've like grabbed your like bags and stuff, like whatever was you had.
Essentials.
Yeah, essentials and stuff like that. And basically everybody planning on coming back to Sulon after this was all over anyway. So
You're crossed.
so as everybody's starting to settle back in, Taeon, you're just sort of standing in the hold, this kind of cavernous space within the belly of Awakener, as you're just sort of looking around at what is in your time a legendary vessel, one that was frequently seen as a herald of hope during your time, during some of the darker times that preceded a fair bit of your cognizant life.
Just figure out what you're feeling. He's definitely staring a lot. Yeah, I know you're gonna ask. I think there's a little bit of excitement. Like a fanboy who just met his idol. Yeah, but I also think he's also dreading what's to come. He's dreading it and just very, very anxious. Plus all the other peripheral emotions from different times, but
Yeah.
but like yeah,
The prominent ones, yeah.
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 And I think at some point he probably just sits down, stares around a bit, and just like flicks through his computer, like wrist computer,
Yeah.
just staring at
After
pictures.
after a while, as like checks are being made, you've seen Jade pass in and out of the hold several times as he basically like flicking back and forth through like various displays, checking to make sure that all of the I forget what they're called, the term for these, but essentially the parts of the ship that hold down any of like the loose cargo, any of those like restraints, fasteners. Words are hard. It's a word.
Batten down the hatches.
It's a word like that. Basically, making like looking at the displays, making sure that they're all going, and then basically in and out doing various checks as everybody sort of falls into what seems to be a pretty familiar routine pretty quickly, in spite of the month away from it all. But at one point, as you're just sort of sitting there, Jade passes through and like stops on his way back out, and he just he steps over. He says, he looks around as he's standing there near you, and he just says, "It's pretty cool, isn't it? The ship."
Yeah, a little bit. Still kind of vintage by my standards, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's so weird. I mean, because to us, this is like, I mean, this is maybe one of the nicest ships I've ever seen or even heard of, I guess, that wasn't, didn't belong to some big, rich, fancy guy or something.
Yeah. Where did you guys find this?
Oh, well, I wasn't there when they found it, but they were on a ship very much like the one we're going towards right now, and Awakener was there too. Along with Alma, but we didn't know that then.
Yeah, no, I remember that part. Apparently you didn't know she was a person?
No,
For long.
for a long time, even she thought she was like an advanced AI or something.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah, that's got to be a weird thing to wake up to. Surprise, you're a person.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to stay here. I mean, you can wander if you want.
No, I think I'll look around after
Okay.
when everyone's not doing something. I don't want to get in the way.
Eh. I mean, there aren't that many of us on here. You probably won't be in the way if you want to look around. But if you want, I'm about to go to the engine room and run some checks, and you can come with me if you want. I mean, or you could stay here. That's fine too. I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to.
No, I'll come. I know nothing about engines.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna explain some stuff to you. Um,
Oh,
well, I mean, it's it's just as much for me as it is for you, because I mean, I don't expect you to take anything away from it necessarily. It's just I heard
I
somewhere
won't.
that sometimes in order to get good at something, the best way of getting better at something is to teach it to somebody else. So I'm gonna yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Show me the ropes.
Okay, come on. And he like pulls up his terminal and just starts like rattling off a bunch of, in a very Bina like way, starts rattling off a bunch of like stuff about the ship in no particular order.
Like father, like daughter.
His Taylor's face is just completely like he has no clue what's happening. Just like,
Yeah. In the hallway, in the corridor, as you're making your way to the engine room, you pass Sedona, who like smiles at Jade and then looks at you and gives you this sort of knowing grin, and then just kind of smiles and nods and then just keeps walking past you. Uh, meanwhile, up in the cockpit, Bina, you're sitting. You and Alma are sitting, pilot and co-pilot, just flipping switches, running through all the pre-flight checks.
Diagnostic City.
Yeah.
Double checking.
And Alma's looking over. She says, "Everything looks good from here, actually. I mean, I don't know what you did, but everything seems to be running about 5% more efficiently than it was before, which is impressive considering you had added new stuff."
Oh, I'm so excited to fly this. I haven't flown it since we did the upgrades, and I was a little nervous, but everything connected pretty good. It's gonna be really fun. Oh, and I haven't flown this ship in a month and a half, 2 months. How long has it been? I don't even know. But I was worried it was gonna. Obviously, she's not gonna get rusty because she's a nice new ship, but like dusty a little bit. But
Also-
no, everything's good.
Also, she's
Okay.
covered in this warehouse and
Mhm.
on a inside of an asteroid in space.
Vina just kind of like puts all four arms like over the front of it and says, "I didn't want her to think I forgot about her," and just kind of like pats the front consoles. Oh,
Alma chuckles and just,
thanks for the raid.
Thank you so much for the raid, friends who roll dice. Ah, hello, welcome.
hey guys, gonna need to tell me about the one shot later.
Yeah, so you Alma just smiles and just probably Bina is unaware of it as you are just sort of like joyfully fiddling with
Yeah.
things. Peach at one point, I'll say as you are just sort of standing in the entrance of the cockpit, you watch as Bina is just sort of like excitedly flipping switches and starting to like bring Awakener online, and you see Alma is just like her gaze hasn't moved. She's just like smiling. You can see just sort of in profile, you can see her smiling, watching Bina just sort of go through everything.
Home sweet home.
Back to basics. Let's do it.
And with that, I think Mason, as you begin settling yourself in, I'll say we'll kind of speed this up, and as Mason, you settle yourself in at the actually tell where would you like to be?
Oh, excuse me. I actually go to my sleeping quarters,
The brand new sleeping quarters.
the brand new sleeping quarters, and I'm going to give it some sweet attention, and I'm going to organize stuff. I'm going to kind of do a little bit of dusting. I'm going to like double check where I put like a lighter a certain way, and I'm going to adjust it. And as I enter, I take off my fedora and I kind of just toss it at a hat loop, and it catches. Hopefully, I don't know.
I'm not gonna make you roll for that. So yes.
and I kind of just like, I don't know what time it is too. What time is it at this point?
By this point, it's probably about the equivalent of like on Sulan, since there isn't really like a day-night cycle on
Yeah,
Sulan.
true.
It's probably the equivalent of like mid-afternoon.
Yeah, I just kind of gonna do some cleaning, and I'm gonna kind of look at my little wrist computer, and I'm going to say, play me something smooth.
All
And
right.
I'm gonna pour myself a little shot of whiskey and just kind of smell it and kind of just relax while I clean a little bit.
All right. Sounds good. So, with everybody in their respective places, Bina, you get the final okays from Jade in the engine room, and Alma confirms. She turns and looks at you from the co-pilot seat, and she says, "All systems are green for takeoff."
This is probably a like level of excitement that is like breached, and like anyone in the room with her is probably feeling Bina getting excited to fly the ship. Like she got a little bit out of her system with the hovercraft that we got to mess around with and like update. Like that's great, but this is like the big ship. This is like big upgrades to an already really nice ship that she hasn't gotten a chance to fly yet. So this is like, whoa, like really high levels of excitement. So
All right.
Bina kind of two-handed cracks her knuckles outward and says, "Let's go."
Ina,
And
do you want
she's
us
gonna-
to launch music?
You can play whatever you want. I'm having the time of my life right now. We haven't even left the ground yet.
I want to pull up like really epic launch music.
Yeah. So the ship may not have taken off yet, but Bina certainly has.
Bina has. Yeah.
Bina has left the atmosphere.
Woo! Yeah, she's ready. She's
All
ready
right.
to go.
So
She gets us ready.
with
She's
the
gonna
final
start takeoff.
with the final confirmations from engineering and from the co-pilot station, Awakener takes off and exits through the now open roof of the warehouse as you take off from Sulan and begin your journey. So, you can feel that same familiar soaring sensation that you always get, Bina. That is a combination of the ship's movement and that sort of butterflies in the stomach feeling, and also like your own just ever-present excitement for piloting vessels. You can
Time to fly.
Yeah, you receive the confirmation back from the from Sulan's flight control system that basically clears you for an exit lane, and you following the path laid out ahead of you. Probably only a minute or two later, you are exiting from the exterior shafts of Sulan's contained atmosphere within the hollowed out asteroid.
Yes.
Um,
Can we quiet running this whole trip, or is that like, does that take more fuel? I don't remember how we
it's-
decided that works.
You can do it, except jumping to FTL, it automatically drops you out of it.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Um,
So we go to FTL then as soon as it's
yeah,
it's safe enough to do so.
yeah,
We'll save quiet running for the other side of the conduit.
yeah. That's just where it is probably most effective. But yeah, so during this period of time, anything that we want to any scenes anybody wants to quickly montage through, since you are now in transit. You have about 3 days before you meet the rendezvous for Becker.
Does Taeon have his own place, the room?
Technically no, but the if you recall, one of the things that we did that Bina did is didn't remove entirely the previous
The old bunks.
yeah, the old bunks. They've just been moved down a deck to where they would fit, and so basically now there's essentially like kind of like a barracks style, like there's like individual cubbies within like a kind of collective living area, and it is now that most of the crew of Awakener has their own quarters, it is basically empty at the moment. So Taeon kind of has it to himself for the most part.
In that case, yeah, Taeon would be down there, trying to make himself comfortable. He's probably, so I think, I don't know how his computer risk computer would interface with the the tech here, but I think he's probably like very solemnly, I guess, putting up photos of I'd say crew members, but just one crew member seems to be there, and just kind of staring at it. All that like weird like nervous energy he usually has, he just gone just very leveled out and just staring at it.
Yeah.
Unless Taeyeon had expressed that he wanted to be alone, I actually did want to go talk to him for a second.
Okay, so
So-
we'll say
No,
that
he-
Peach. This is
Yeah.
this is how you find him. You find him with a couple of photos pulled up on his display, as you enter, just sort of very gently knocking on the wall.
Hey, can I come in, Taeyeon?
The moment you do that, he just quickly has everything. He's kind of like, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna walk in. If it was someone else, I might have done the knock open, but because we don't know each other that well, she waited until you said to come
Yeah. Yeah. What's up? You have any more time traveler questions?
in. No, I think I maybe wore you out on that already. I know that this Entropis is your rival, so I was wondering if you had any tips, insight, if we do end up facing him on that ship, unfortunately, which hopefully won't happen, but it's a factor that we haven't really talked about. So
Yeah. I mentioned it earlier. I don't plan. I just hope for the best.
but have you noticed any in your interactions with them, have you noticed any weaknesses, or how did you have anyone in the resistance fought them before?
He's it's easy to get on his nerves.
Short temper?
Yeah. Short
Okay.
temper, easy to tease.
can
I
work
make
with
fun of
that.
him all the time. That kind of gets on his nerves sometimes. Other than that, just don't let him touch you. I don't know if he's gotten any better with his powers, but I know for a fact that if he touches you, that's enough to decay you, I guess, essentially.
Okay, stay far away. Good to know. Thanks.
No problem.
Do you need anything on the ship? We have more pillows, we have food, we have Mason has whiskey.
Oh, no, I don't. The last time I drank, I lost about a month.
Oh,
Yeah,
you lost a month.
Yeah, don't drink in time,
It-
basically.
Oh, yeah, I can't imagine that would work out very well. Did you ever find it?
I mean, I usually can't go back that far, so I've never tried to. I think the only way I could is to drink again, and I won't know what way I would travel if I did that. So I just lost that month, I guess. It was fine. It wasn't a birthday month or anything, so it was good.
Okay, elite month.
Yeah.
Great. Well, if you do need anything, just find me. And are you okay? You seemed a little shaken earlier.
He definitely takes a moment. Honestly, no. I'm really not okay. Trying to distract myself with Nurse Watt, and it wasn't really helping. I miss everyone. Like, not miss like I can come home to them, because I might not be able to.
You miss the people who were there before everything was changed.
Yeah. And then like he pulls up some photos, and like he points at the different faces in them. I don't know any of these people. The people I know just stopped existing. And the one I do know, and he points out one of the Orzais, who you can see like the film, like the constant thing in all the photos.
Mm.
I saw her die right before sending me here now. She's my fiance, was my fiance. So like I need this to go right, because if it doesn't, I don't know what to do.
Well, one, it'll go right. Two, I'm so sorry that's the last thing that you saw before seeing us. But if you can travel back in time and you're here with us, I mean, who's to say that when you go back, things will be the same as when you left them? We don't know what'll change.
I'm just hoping the right things do.
I mean, I'm not an expert on time travel or timelines or anything like that, but I think that if you're here with us for a reason. I mean, you were interrupted in your travels, and I do believe that you were brought here with us for a reason, and I think together we can make sure you have a future worth going back to. Hopefully better than when you left it. Hey, if they can send a time traveler back to fuck with things, maybe we can do some fucking with things too.
Oh boy, I see why you're the legendary speaker of the group.
I just tell people what they want to hear.
I mean, it worked. It works.
No, I mean it though. I have you know how Bina took us off seamlessly, like it was like we were just walking across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she flies like that. She's amazing. We all kind of do our own things as well as Bina can fly that ship.
Oh, I can already tell that you're an amazing speaker. I'm looking forward to seeing what else you guys can do.
Hopefully it's goes a little bit better than our last stealth mission.
What happened on your...
But no, it'll go great. It'll go great. Do you want to do something, or do you want to show me some more funny pictures? Do you have any funny ones?
I have a few that I do remember. And then he starts pulling them up.
I want to see like a slideshow, like embarrassing college photos, like.
Oh god, yeah, definitely. And I think partway through, like, so he points out the Orzai. Her name is Ada Sprix. She's the
cute name.
Coder, I guess, of our group. Not great with mechanics, great with coding though.
We could have used her on this trip.
Oh god, I would not have minded sending her back. I feel like she'd do a better job than I'm doing.
Hey, I mean, you have really helped Jade out with the nurse what. I'm not super familiar with the show. The nurse what wiki updates. I'm sure you're giving him a lot of good
hold
information.
on, wait. He's putting it on wiki.
No.
He's gonna run up. He's gonna run up to find Jade.
And that's how that conversation ends.
I would like for both of you to take to gain an XP for that. That was
It's so good.
excellent.
That name is excellent, by the way, for a coder.
Mhm.
Love it.
Wait, what was your name again? Say it again. I want to write it down.
Ada Spricks.
Oh, hello.
Literally last week I was like, hey, I need a name for an alien. Anyone? I just tweeted it out and sent
Oh,
it.
I saw
That's what
Yeah.
it was for.
I have a bunch of names here.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Orsi name conventions are extremely fun. It's perfect.
Yeah. All right. So, with that, anybody else have specific scenes they wanna play out at the moment?
I don't really have a scene per se, just like being at like heightened, probably for the first hour or so of the trip. Bina is like fully walking like back and like she always does, but like with fervor, like back and forth between the bridge and the engineering room, just to like checking everything. Like she knows it's working, she just likes to see it, and I like now that it's like got upgrades, like it's kind of cool. And like for like the first hour, like she still is like the containment breach excitement, so if anyone passes her in the hallway, they get like a serotonin boost for a second. Like
Hell yeah. Sure, we all need it.
yeah, or you get like her like excitement levels. I guess if you're not doing well, that much excitement might like exacerbate some anxieties, but like you decide how that affects you. If it gives you serotonin or if it makes you more anxious, that's your prerogative. But yeah, she's just kind of excited, like new toys. I need to look at all of them with my eyeballs until I get sick of it, which will be never, but like for now, reasonably, she stops at some point. But yeah, not really, I don't really need to see it out of it, but like that's
Okay, fair enough.
she's just really, really pumped.
Okay, fair. During the course of the next several days in transit to the rendezvous with Becker, Zaya actually helps Mason with giving small arms training to Jade and Sedona. Basically, one of the things Zaya has brought with her is actually essentially a holographic training program, where essentially they can actually have like target practice without live fire, but essentially like learn how to do it that way, which Jade is extremely excited by. So he at one point admitting, I was really worried about how we were going to do this without, putting holes in the ship. So I'm glad that you did this. And Zaya just looks at him. She says, how do you think people do their weapons training on board military vessels? I honestly didn't think about it. She says, well, here's your answer. Now let's see if you can put everything we learned to the test. He says, right. And he kind of like looks nervously at Mason.
Like nod of approval for sure.
He goes, okay, I'm ready. And then basically, over the course of the next several days, you are able to see like a pretty solid improvement, mostly in Jade. Sedona is a little wary of the whole thing. Like throughout the whole thing, Mason, you get the impression that Sedona is doing it out of necessity and rather like not out of any like actual interest in becoming proficient. So she doesn't quite take to it as much as readily as Jade does. But both of them come along and like they make excellent progress over the course of the next few days. I will say that at one point, I need to think about this for a second, because I will say that at one of the evenings, Taeyeon, you sort of restlessly find yourself wandering the ship, and you walk past the galley, and as you walk past, you glance inside and you see that the solitary form of Abriel just sort of sitting there at the table, with a a glass in front of her that still has liquid inside, sort of an amber liquid that she's just sort of gently swirling, but seems largely to have been forgotten. Um, as you walk past the door, she glances up and says, "Oh, um, can't sleep."
I mean, I guess neither can I. Can I come in?
Sure. She like with her foot pushes out one of the chairs opposite her. Um,
Yes, I was like walking over. Tal just like metronome again,
Yeah.
tick tocking because he's probably awake because he's just very anxious. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's his tick if you noticed.
Yeah.
He takes a seat.
She says, "So, you." I mean, I guess I heard the short version from everyone, but where you're from, we pull this thing off, right?
Yeah, that's kind of why they sent someone back to stop you.
Yeah. Well, she just sort of looks idly around the room, just says, "Well, I don't know if you know, but the supers aren't the only reason that we're going. I mean, my sister's on that ship. They have her. They've been using her to leverage with me."
And that's why you're up. Um, I think she's going to be in good hands, and by that, I spoke to Peach, and
Yeah. And she fill your head with all kinds of positive, hopeful nonsense?
I don't think it was nonsense, but yeah, a lot of positivity. We these people are amazing. They're legends. Just 25 years from now. That's incredible.
She finally actually takes a drink. And she says, "Well, if that's true, then regardless of how this turns out, I didn't succeed in my mission. Which is good, I think, overall.
What was your mission?
It's not important. And if history's forgotten it, well, who am I to argue with history?"
Well, I'll be honest, I'm kind of curious now, but
I told you my sister was being leveraged. Well, I was sending Silverbreak information about these people. Even helped him track down the ship once. Almost worked too, actually. Yeah, there's a reason the old rust bucket won't let me out of their sight.
okay, wait, hold on. So you were putting them in danger by betraying them, and they didn't kill you?
It's about my reaction too. Don't get me wrong, I think some of them wanted to, or at the very least, abandon me on an ice planet, but
Yeah, that seems fair. No, see, they did something like that. I doubt they're gonna let themselves fail at saving your sister, who legitimately has not done nothing wrong to them.
yeah.
Some of the people on that ship that we're going to save, they're the parents of some of my teammates. Whether they're parents, guardians, they all had some kind of important enough ripple in the lives of my teammates that not saving them made a lot of my teammates just not exist. They're not blood related to me, but I do understand having some level of family being on the line here, and I trust this crew. I think you should too.
You know, I think I do. And it's not really them I'm worried about. I know they'll do everything that they can. They've done it before, and usually it results in one or more of them ending up in my med bay, but I'm more worried about the time when what they do doesn't land them in the med bay. About the time when they just don't come back.
I really broke the rule once. I would just say that you can trust that they'll at least come back with a few bruises. I don't think, hopefully, you won't have to worry about them not coming back at all. They all seem way too stubborn to, yeah.
Tell me about it. Anyway, I don't even know why I'm telling you any of this. I don't even know you. Takes another drink.
I'm just very approachable, apparently.
Sure. We'll go with that. She looks around the room and just says, "All right, I'm going to go make another attempt at this." She finishes the rest of what's in her drink and sets it on a table. She says, "For what it's worth, I'm glad there's someone around here who's seen a certainty is kind of hard to come by. And she just sort of puts her hands on the table, standing, just sort of leans over, and she says, these people, they talk a good game, but they're just as uncertain as any of the rest of us most of the time. It's good for them to have somebody like you who believes in them without any regret or any regard for alternatives. Somebody who sees them the way they need to see themselves."
They're legends. I can't see them any other way.
Yeah. Without another word, she walks out of the galley.
Probably gonna just check the glass, see what she drank. Probably try to take a taste. It's oh, it's yep, no.
There's one of those.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
She does like us. But why am I telling you this? It's because we're rubbing off on you, Avriel. Taking the strays.
It's like you just got approval from a distant father figure.
So the rest of the journey passes pretty smoothly. Bina delighted at how nicely Awakener seems to be running after some of the.
Is it actually significantly different, or is it just
not
noticed? Yeah,
it is not at all significantly different.
I noticed.
Yep,
That's
Bina knows. Most everybody else, except for Alma, who just objectively is aware, most everybody else is kind of just that's great, Bina.
Great,
Like that's
Bina,
yeah.
I really like what you did with my room.
I bet Bina left like, I don't know. I bet she found like some like candies, like local Siouxland candies, and like left them on everybody's beds. Like,
On the pillow, like
yeah, for not every day, just like the first time you saw your rooms.
Mhm. That was
She's
so
not
cute.
like, she was like, I bet she like thought about like, oh, I could decorate, and then she's like, I'm really bad at decorating, and then she went out and bought like candy. Everybody likes candy, and so and when you entered your room for the first time, there's probably just like, think the beds, and there's just a mattress doesn't even have sheets on it yet, but there's like a piece of candy on top of the stack of blankets, pillows, and sheets, and that was Bina's welcome home.
That's an ADHD mood right there. Like the
Oh God. Am I projecting on Bina?
Oh, no.
No, I've only been doing it since the beginning. Okay. Yeah.
I don't have sheets on my blanket. I have the sheets. I mean, on my bed. I don't have sheets there, but this one random unrelated detail is perfect. Doesn't help me sleep more comfortably, but I did it. Yeah.
Does Jade like
Tastes
his new
good.
console? I got that new console because Jade really liked
Yeah.
it in the engineering.
Yeah. Periodically, Jade will just like come in over like communications and explain a new way that the console has helped him do things more efficiently.
Oh, I didn't even know about that one. You'll have to show me later. I
Yeah.
haven't read
Oh,
through the
it's
whole manual
amazing.
yet, which
It's gonna save so much time. It's gonna be great.
oh, I'm so excited. Okay, I'll see you after lunch. I'm gonna come down. You're gonna show me the other 4 things that you've learned today.
Just turning to Mason, being like, "Man, we have some real nerds on this ship."
And you're better for it.
They've saved our lives many times. Take a sip of coffee.
But
This is a
Yeah.
oh,
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say this is just because Peach saw a photo. Caitlin wants to know what Ada Sprix looks like.
That's true. Yeah. What's the
Oh wait.
description?
Oh no, I haven't thought about this.
It's pretty much just like they've got the hard care, but it's like what color, how many arms, basically.
2 arms.
Okay.
What color options are there?
I mean, I don't think we ever like bug. Like think like bug carapace. I mean, bean is like a pale cream color, so I think I just assumed like white to black to gray with like tones inlaid. I think someone had said that we like probably iridescent, and
Yeah.
I love that idea. So she could be iridescent. Like
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Yeah, iridescent.
love it.
Oh,
Wings, I'm assuming.
yeah, it's got wings. And probably dresses like kind of like punk rock, but futuristic.
Yeah.
Good. Yes, good.
Yes.
She is removed from the home world, and she is living it.
Yeah.
I adore that.
Gosh.
Yeah, for fun, because I love Orzai, and you cannot take this away from me. The Orzai are generally not very tech inclined, so Bina is an outlier, and so Ada Sprix would also be kind of like an oddball. So yeah, it makes sense that both of them are off the home world.
Yeah.
They're like, we're good with our level of tech. We don't need all that fancy schmancy stuff.
Yeah.
So generally, if you're that inclined, you want to go be somewhere else.
I want to say that I don't know, we probably won't ever come up, but she's also the only person that Taeyeon actually lets mess with his tech.
Ooh, I love that. I love it. Fun facts. NPC facts.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to ask that. I've been sitting on
These are
that
important
since it
details.
was really important to me.
So, you at the end of this leg of the journey, you find yourself basically pulling into one of the various stations. This one relatively near to a conduit. As you are making a quick stopover, rather than opt for hangar space, you just extend a docking corridor, and you watch as the airlock door cycles. You watch Becker Shaw, the step through. His curly red hair and well trimmed beard, just both looking in sort of a state of disarray, like basically like somebody who has been not exactly sleeping or taking time to like to groom, uh, but and he has that look of somebody who's been sleeping in his clothes for a few days. That sort of general matted look as he steps into the climate-controlled Awakener. He removes his long coat and looks around. He says, "Whew, let me tell you, some of these stations are their life support systems are just barely what I would
the
call
temperature
life
control's
supports.
abysmal.
Terrible, absolutely
Mhm.
awful." And he says, "It's good to be back. Are we heading off immediately?"
Yes,
Good. I need a shower or 5. So.
we have that on board.
Oh, excellent.
Have at it.
And he turns and just sort of looks around for a moment, and then just tosses his coat onto the back of a chair, and then just says, "I'm gonna go do that right now." As he's exiting the hold, Zaya is walking in, and he without hesitation just hugs her, and she just sort of stands there for a moment, and then just pats him on the back, and says, "Oh God, you smell terrible." And he says, "It's good to see you too." And she,
As he's like letting go, I want to like kind of poke out from behind Zaya, like, "Whoa, you look so. You have way less gray hairs."
He looks at you and just kind of grins, kind of like a bemused grin on his face. He says, "I take it you're the time traveler."
Yep.
He says, "It's good to meet you in person." And he holds out a hand and says, "Becker Shaw."
I just like grab it with both hands and shake. Taeon.
He smiles and nods. Says, "Well, it's good to meet you. Sorry to be rude, but I have been sleeping in a literal broom closet for the last few days, and I need to."
Yeah, no, I can smell that. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. And he like looks at Zaya, who gives him a look like, "See," and he just shoots her a look and shakes his head and smiles. And says, "It's good to meet you." And he walks past you in the direction of the showers.
I kind of like point at him. I turn to Zion. I point at him like he becomes a real like silver fox when he's older. So.
Zaya just smirks. She says, she looks towards where he disappeared to, looks at you, and she says, all right, kid, pull your jaw off the floor. Let's go. Come on." And yeah, so the next leg of your journey is actually the shortest, because all you have to do is go through the conduit, and on the other side is basically where you will be waiting. So the next leg of your journey will literally take you probably about 10 minutes max. So as you settle back into the pilot seat, Bina, Alma is just sort of leaning back in the co-pilot seat, just sort of absently staring out the view screen, looking as you basically are waiting in queue for the conduit, watching ships disappear into it ahead of you.
She's naming them like, that one came out 10 years ago. I can't believe they've still got those nacelles on them. And it jumps. She's like, shit, missed it.
Alma is offering only like token responses. At times, as she sort of seems, but before long, Bina starts to pick up on the fact that she is like seems preoccupied. And
You good?
She looks, says, "Sorry, was I being rude? I'm sorry.
No, you don't need to respond. I mostly just talk because it makes me feel better about what we're doing.
I know. I just
want to make sure you're okay."
No, I'm fine. I'm just thinking about that time back on Zoloterra when we learned that Silverbreak was coming, and my freak out, I guess.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that, and even at the time it felt weird to me. I mean, I was afraid, and I knew why I was afraid, but also I didn't. it's hard to explain. It's like I was just thinking about it because of what Taeon told me about why they're looking for me, and it makes me wonder what I knew, because nothing that was a fear that was like an instinctual fear, something that even not having memories couldn't stop and or suppress. It makes me wonder what did I know about them?
Something you didn't know you knew triggered a panic attack.
Yeah.
Trying to save you from yourself somehow without even knowing.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to make excuses or anything. It was just something I thought about when...
Hey, man, you're talking to... If you want to talk to anybody about emotional reactions, I'm going to be the most understanding.
Yeah. She just sort of looks at you and just gives you a look that you don't fully, like, you can't quite fully parse.
She just kind of like smiles.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I was already a little bit nervous about this, but we've done dangerous stuff before, and
That's an understatement.
but this is a little bit different because this isn't going and messing with some backwater some backwater tyrant. This isn't
It's a direct hit.
stealing an artifact from Ellis, who doesn't have it actually in his possession yet. This is a big one. They're not going to let us go easily.
Mm-mm.
And if what Taeon is saying about this time traveler is true, they might even be ready for us. They probably are ready for us. I don't know.
Yeah, there's not really much we can expect in any direction. Except I did a lot of research on the ship, so there's that at the very least.
I don't want to see you hurt. Any of you, but yeah, any of you.
I would say we're all going to be okay, but like even that's too much self-assuredness for me.
Even Peach couldn't convince me of that.
No. We don't really know. But I mean, I guess we've never really known. Now we just have like an inkling of like we should know because we think we should know because we have someone from the future. But like really it's just like every other we don't really know. Does that make sense? It made sense to me.
No, I understand. It's kind of how I've been feeling about this whole thing. I mean, I know we have to do it. I know we don't have a choice. We can't let... We made a promise to Abriel, and we can't let people... We can't let what was going to happen to us happen to anybody else.
Yeah, we know about it. Can't turn away from it.
That actually kind of makes me feel better. Knowing that... I mean, it's not like I didn't know that already, but saying it out loud, knowing that none of us would let something like this go, we wouldn't stand out of the way just to save ourselves.
As soon as we learn about it, it becomes an inevitability. That's the only thing that we can be sure about. And I think that's a pretty good one.
Yeah. What's that one?
Oh, okay. So this one, I've been staring at this one. I can't really tell because I think they have a hull from another ship on top of it. I think they're trying to like pretend like it's fancy. But to see the way that I'm just gonna start to like...
Yeah.
You're going at it.
All right. As we move into our final scene for the evening. You
Our what?
what? That sounds fake.
God, I had no idea what time it was.
You sit on the other side of the conduit, out kind of in the middle of basically nowhere. This region of space is one that really doesn't have any populated systems, largely due to this being a region of space that the Commonwealth had not quite reached in their terraforming efforts prior to hostilities breaking out with the Apex Ascendancy. And since those hostilities sort of ceased, this region of space has been deemed a little too close for comfort to the border worlds to risk flaring those tensions up again. So pretty much this is kind of the forgotten region of space that really nobody has laid claim to.
That empty pocket between
Yeah.
between claimed areas.
Exactly. It's sort of
Map incoming eventually.
yeah, it's kind of operated as a sort of informal neutral zone, so as such, there's basically nobody out here. Even though there is easy means to reach this place via conduit, there's nobody. And so pretty much you find yourselves just sort of drifting, probably just a few hundred kilometers away from the actual conduit itself, for probably about maybe 5 or 6 days.
What's out here? Is there like a meteor field we can hide in? Is there like
There is a substantial asteroid field somewhere, but the one that it's the one where the ship is departing from. That's the one that's
okay, so no.
So nothing close by. Where you are right now is pretty much there are some nearby stars, but the closest ones don't actually have any like not terrestrial, but any like the worlds that they like the planets that are there are primarily gas giants, and so
Not gonna hide there.
no, there's not much really there, which is actually yet another reason why this system was sort of left for last when it came to terraforming, because there isn't actually anything conveniently close to the conduit. So basically, this really is kind of a no man's land of space. There's not a whole lot going on out here. Really, the only thing that is allowing you to hide like you are is your silent running protocol. During the wait, however, at some point Becker does pull everybody into the observation room, onto the observation deck, having pulled up raised the table from the middle of the room, and basically taking it up and turning it, probably with help from Mason, turning it into kind of like an ops center basically. And he kind of calls everybody in, and he says, okay, from our minimal information, it looks like we have a lot of stuff to do and not a lot of time to do it in. We need to knock out as much of this ship as possible, as many of its systems as possible, and cause as much confusion and chaos as we can before the window that Wire gives us closes. So the thing that makes the most sense to me right now is it's too much ground for us all to cover. So as much as I don't like it, it looks like the option here is to split into teams. He says, now once we get that signal jammer up, it's going to force them to reboot all of their systems before they pass through the conduit.
We'll have about 15 minutes.
Yeah. That's our window. And in that time, if you can fly us, I'd say the minimum about, gosh, if you can get us 50 feet from the hull, I can get us inside. He pulls up the display of the ship. He says, over here on the starboard side, there are a bunch of airlocks. Those would be perfect, because it's hard for me to aim without knowing exactly what's on the other side, but with an airlock, it's a pretty safe bet. They're all pretty much the same. So I at least have an idea of where I'm sending us. Don't want to end up inside a bulkhead or anything like that. Jade just like leans over to Taeon. He says, "Do you think that can happen?"
Yeah.
Jade just kind of shudders. And Becker says, "So the teams, it looks like we need to knock out their propulsion because we don't want them going through that conduit. If they do, it's not a big deal, but the problem is that Awakener won't be able to follow, and we'll have to... There goes our exit strategy. So we don't want them going through that conduit, so we need somebody to knock out propulsion. We also need somebody to plant the virus that Wire made for us. And that one's a little trickier." He pulls up the schematics, which by now are very familiar to Bina. As he says, basically what I'm finding, what I've found with help from Bina is that there's really no easy way to access the mainframe except, and he points, and you watch as a series of pathways are highlighted on the holographic display. He says, "These are maintenance shafts. They're, well, primarily these are it's more accurate to say that these are air ducts. And we're going to need to make it through these, and this will be the closest that we'll be able to get without tripping their security. I've examined the tactical data, and there really is no other way. With enough time, we could probably come at it another way, but this isn't going to do it. But we're also going to need somebody here and here." And he points to like 2 different locations that are highlighted. And he says, "These are security substations. Without knocking these out, our mission is as good as over as soon as we step on board that ship. As soon as they reboot, all their systems come back online, and we are easy targets. They'll direct a legion of troops to wherever we are. So these need to be knocked out as well." And then, of course, there's the actual rescuing that gets done. Somebody will have to be on site at the location of the pods. It's a tall order.
I think I'm probably on propulsion. Right? Get me in the engines.
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
You need someone to cover you? I'm pretty good with a blaster.
Yeah. If you want to come with me, you definitely can.
Zaya looks. She says, I can handle those security stations, but that's not something I can handle on my own.
You want me to go with you, Zaya?
Be happy for the help."
Great.
Olam looks at Mason. He says, "I guess that puts us on rescue duty?"
Yeah, I mean, we know how these pods work.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. Becker says, I'll take the virus. I'll take it to the mainframe. I'm no stranger to crawling through air ducts." And Zaya just looks at him and she says, "No." She says, "You don't even know the first thing about implanting that virus." She says, "Pretty much plug and play, right?" Zaya shakes her head and she says, "I mean, yes, but there's also..." At which point you hear and you look over and you see Jade step forward. He says, I could help. I mean, I know a little bit about computers. I mean, enough to bypass whatever security protocols are in place there. I mean,
yeah.
I spent some time over the last month looking at some of Wire's tech manuals, so
If you'd feel comfortable, Jade.
I want to help.
All right.
And Becker says, "You'll do fine, kid. Just stay close to me. I'll keep you covered."
If you ever wonder if you need some help of what to do, just think, what would Nuswat do?
He smiles and says, "Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Bina's like, wait, oh, I'm off the ship. And she says, Alma, are you good to pilot?
Alma nods. She says, I think I've actually been working on this. And she just sort of, she closes her eyes for a second, and you watch as like displays start like popping up, and she says, I think I've got it. It's not the same as being directly plugged in like I was, but
Whoa.
I think I can do some good work from here.
Bina's like got her like form and it's like, that's so cool. And she's like looking at all of the it's gonna shake her a little bit.
I'll admit I am gonna miss being able to materialize and dematerialize any air on the ship, but
Hey, maybe that'll come back sometime too.
oh, actually I never thought about that. I mean, I guess I don't have to be plugged in order to operate the holo projectors all over the ship.
Ooh.
You see Jade's eyes just get huge. And Becker says, you're going to have to table that for later. She says, right, sorry. Becker kind of looks around at all of you. He kind of takes a deep breath and opens his mouth. But at that exact moment, like, the proximity alert on the ship starts going off. And Alma's head snaps over to the display, and immediately, like, without any delay at all, you can see like some of the display, like the cockpit displays, get pulled up on the main display in this room, and you can see that basically the proximity alert is for an incoming vessel.
ETA?
ETA, literally right now.
Fuck yeah, let's do it. Ah.
Becker just lets out the breath that he had taken and says, "Well, I guess this is it."
No time like the present.
Mm-hmm.
We really are reading each
glasses
other's
on.
minds.
And on that
Sunglasses
note,
on.
as Peach and Bina simultaneously,
Oh my god.
No time like
Yeah.
the present.
that is where we're going to call tonight's episode.
Wow! Holy shit.
Oh my god.
All right. Well,
Ah.
That's cool as hell.
Yeah.
all right. Well, everybody, thanks so much for hanging out, for watching, for spending the evening with us.
Thanks for the raids and all of the gift subs.
Yeah, thanks for the raids and the gift subs and the follows and all of it. Thank
For
you. Thank
hanging
you,
out.
Thank you.
Thanks for being you.
Thanks for being you. Yeah. Some of our usual stuff. If you are not already, you should definitely consider joining our Discord, because that is where all kinds of information gets sent out to everybody.
Also posted another version of the patch with anime.
Yeah.
Anime.
Also, that's where you can just hang out, talk about stuff like this episode or absolutely anything else. You get all kinds of updates on the channel sooner than basically anywhere else, and more consistently.
All their programming
yeah, all the
as well.
Yep, programming, live announcements, any kind of community content.
Patch with rose petals and
Yeah.
Anime blushies.
and anime eyes.
Exactly.
running to school because he's late. Got has a toast in his mouth.
Yeah. So if you are not already a member of the Discord, please consider joining our Discord. Geekouts has posted the link in the chat. And yeah, you can find basically anything there. Also, if you happen to be subscribed here on Twitch, as many of you very suddenly find yourselves after tonight, and over on the Discord is where you actually do get access to some of our Patreon benefits. So if you are subscribed here on Twitch and also on our Discord, you can get access to some of those things, and some of them are pretty great. This week, actually, we have our Media Club recommendations, basically a list of all the things that some of the role casting crew and staff are watching, reading, listening to, etc. And this week features contributions actually from Drac. Drac has quite a few contributions in there. So
A lot. Sorry, guys.
So good.
no, it's excellent. This
I'm
was a bit of,
shaming myself live on stream. The Bina Journal, I'm gonna do it this week. Like I need to do it this week.
yes, occasional
It's coming.
character journals as well are included in the list of those Patreon benefits, little insights into the characters' thoughts. So all of those are things we, as I mentioned, we do also have a Patreon, so you can join us there and get access to some of the things that I said before, as well as potentially our world building tier, where we actually get together on the last Tuesday of every month, and which is how we always intended it to be, and it certainly wasn't as a result of procrastinating until the very last
Feature,
day.
not a bug.
It's a feature, not a bug. Where patrons who come in on that tier can actually help us world build some things for this very show. So this week
Cool
we've
one.
got
There's a really gonna
there's
be
a
a cool
really
one this week.
really good one
It's
this
gonna be
week.
really
I'm
cool.
very excited.
Mhm.
So but yeah, otherwise you can find us on Twitter, as you can see somewhere on the, it's over. Yeah, I pointed the right direction, down there in the corner of the screen. You can find it down there. Also, please, everybody, do remember that if you are subscribed or following, please do remember to turn on notifications for the channel, because so that you can get notified as soon as we go live. That is a thing that I've been forgetting to remind people since literally the beginning of this whole
A
channel.
year and a half ago.
Yeah, so these are important things, so never miss another Rule of Lore stream by just hitting that little bell. All right, I think that's enough from us. Drac, if you would like to
Yeah.
once again reiterate to everyone where they can find you.
Plug.
Well,
Plug
first thing I
yourself.
want to say is
the
happy
goods?
birthday, Lucas.
Oh,
Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Lucas.
Happy birthday, Lucas.
birthday,
Hey,
Lucas.
Hey, Lucas, happy birthday.
Thanks.
Do you guys know it was Lucas's birthday?
Oh my god, I just heard it was Lucas's birthday.
It was amazing. Lucas's birthday.
It is Lucas's birthday.
You can find me on Twitter at Draconics. That's DRAKONIQUES. That's the best place to find out what I'm doing, because I honestly cannot remember most of it.
So many things.
Yeah, the stuff I do remember is you can find me on Mondays at 6 p.m. PDT over on Friends Who Roll Dice, where we play in a homebrew D&D 5e game, and I play a Yuan-Ti pirate warlock, who's a lot of stuff has happened in the last few episodes. Very emotional stuff. I nearly cried. But yeah, you can catch me there. Also, I'm part of a actual play podcast called Super Idols RPG, where I play a very anime-esque actual campaign where I play a magical idol boy. I got a whole transformation sequences. I love it. It's great. I have other stuff coming up, but I don't know if I can announce it yet. So just follow me on Twitter to hear about it when I eventually can.
All right. Cool. Well, thanks again, everybody. We will be back on Friday with Ramblemancy, where we will be discussing something. I knew the moment we created like the topic for this week, I remember thinking I am definitely not going to remember this when it comes time to tell people on stream.
Same.
Well, you'll know by Friday.
We'll know by Friday.
It's
So
fine.
that's
You'll know by then.
Yeah.
So don't be greedy. You'll find
All the-
out.
All the more reason to follow Rule of Lore on Twitter, because then you'll get
Exactly.
it announced there.
So yes, so we will be talking about something. I think it is tabletop game related. No, I remember what it is. I know what it is. We're going to be talking about is it formative media something or other, or was that
It has to do with formative media.
Yeah. So
of some
basically
kind,
how
but
your
we didn't word it quite like that.
Yeah, it's basically how like your formative media has shaped your
Yeah.
creativity, your consumption, all that kind of stuff. That's what we're going to be talking about this Friday. I did it. I remembered partially. And then I think John and I are going to be streaming on Saturday. We have yet to decide exactly what, but chances are we will probably be continuing with our previous plan of playing Portal 2, so which we didn't actually do
Nice.
last time, but this time it will definitely maybe be that. So yes. Those are the things that are happening this week at Rule of Lore. So keep an eye out for that, for announcements, live announcements, for posts on social media, and hope to see you then. But if not, we'll see you the next time you decide to come roll with us. Good night and good zone, everybody.
Happy birthday, Lucas.
Happy
Happy birthday, Lucas.
Say
Happy birthday, Lucas.
Happy
Hey, happy-
birthday.
Nope.